would say, I'm late, I'm late. So, good to see each one of you here this morning. My name is Reverend Marsha Mitchell. I will be the facilitator today. What if we start with an opening congregational song? Our wonderful accompanist today, Mr. Bill Chilton. Please stand as you're willing and able, and we're going to sing now page number 45 in your pink book, Look at the Hillside.
Which is the tune morning has broken, but it's specific to autumn. So that's an excuse to sing Look at the Hillside.
45.
I'll give you a little introduction here.
Existentialist congregation of Atlanta. We are a philosophically-based spiritual community founded on existentialist and feminist principles, dedicated to human liberation and protective of the natural world. We make our spiritual home here in the old stone church, which was hand-built by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church more than 100 years ago. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African Americans from our area, and we honor them and the powerful history of this beautiful place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muscogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all indigenous people. In line with our speaker's topic this morning, bless the beast and the children, I have a few quotes. Seuss said, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" Children want the same thing as adults, to laugh, to be challenged, to be entertained and delighted. If anyone has any community announcements that you would like for us to let people know about a little later in the service, if you would please write that down and pass it up to me. How about newcomers? Do we have any newcomers today who would like to tell us who you are and how you came to be here this morning? I know two of them right there.
One of us will speak. I'm Susan and this is Richard, and we are living in Douglasville, and we came in because he was looking through the internet and he says, I think these people sound like us. And we were mostly, especially interested because our backstory is we were married in 1968 in Madison, Wisconsin in graduate school. And we went around the world together in a van and came back, didn't make it in the real world, so we dissolved our marriage, and 50 years later we found each other again. And so we are looking for someone to officiate at our wedding, which we have found in Marcia, and we will be getting married here, we hope, next weekend. So this is the third or fourth last chapter in our saga. And we really appreciate you welcoming us. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you found us. Anyone else? Yes?
Hey, my name is Matthew. I work with Brownie. Brownie is a friend of mine, so she invited me out here today. She told me she was speaking like a month ago, so I marked my calendar. So I'm here just for my conscience.
Anyone else? Yes?
Hi everyone, I'm Hillary. I live in the neighborhood and my partner Alex has been to the service a few times, so he spoke very highly of it, so I wanted to come check it out today. Hi, I'm Isabella. I used to live in the neighborhood, but I unfortunately just moved, and my friend Alex has spoken very highly of the service, so I wanted to come check it out, and I apologize for the tardiness.
You made it, right?
It's great to have each one of you here. I hope that you received a bulletin for today. There's a part of that called the connection card. It's a little tear off. If you would like to have any more information about the congregation, if you would like to get on our weekly e-blast, our monthly newsletter, it's a way of keeping in touch with us and what's going on. So please feel free to fill that out and put that in the collection plate when it goes around later in the service. How about birthdays or anniversaries? Any birthdays or anniversaries? Aha! Somebody's coming forward. Well, since you're by yourself, that must be your birthday, Stell. All right. Stell's birthday then. William.
Here we go.
Given me the authority to order the songs that he has picked out. So I think what I'd like to do is, Bill, why don't we go with Page number 44, When the Mountain Stood Alone.
Good choice.
Pink book.
Yeah. If you've got an old one to look at the hillside, it's the previous page. It's easier that way. This was one of Lemire's very favorite songs as a kid. He really liked Walking the Light and he liked When the Mountain Stood Alone. It's got an ecological theme. Not sure.
In the branches of the forest, in the petals of the marigold, on the shoulder of the mountain, in the vastness of the sea, you will find a burning sadness over all the ancient watershed. You will see it written plainly on the wind and in the sand. In the green world of the forest, in the stillness of the tide pool, there is fear and there is trembling for a certain stranger there. Now he walks upon the mountain like a warlock of the countryside, and she fills the ancient meadow, counting ways for a stream. There's a light upon the mountain, there's a sickness in the evening sky, and we ask the angel question, can we purge us of this sin? Can we save the little nestling from the venom of the cankerworm? Can we clear the lust of anguish from the soft eyes of the dove? In the thunder of commandment, sound a warning through the wilderness, that the forest be untainted, that the streams be undefiled, let the waters of the river, as they flow down to the ocean, be as sweet as in the old days when the mountain stood alone.
Let's take it from I'm not sure. Strings to the end of final, yeah. Very much string is not that undefined.
Winnie the Pooh said, while we try to teach our children about life, our children teach us what life is all about. Pooh also said, when life throws you a rainy day, let's play in the puddles. I like that one. If we have any youth, you can go downstairs. Do we have any other community announcements? Okay, from Linda Bell. I have copies of my book for those who asked about them last Sunday. If you remember last Sunday, there was a reference that Sue made about Dr. Bell's books. So please see Dr. Bell. Raise your hand, Linda. There we go. Mark your calendar. November 19th is the first Voices Festival in Little Five Points. There will be an all-day powwow, a discussion at the Wrecking Bar, and evening performances at 7 stages. For more information, go to First Voices Festival or contact Wade Marlaw after the service. Wade, over here. I'm glad to see that, Wade. That's great. First E is looking for people to participate in the Pride Parade and the Marketplace. It's the weekend of October the 14th and 15th, and as well as that Pride, we also the Little Five Points Halloween Parade on October the 22nd. Patton, you can see Patton about information. We had the best time when we were in the parade, the Inland Park Parade, not too long ago. It was a lot of fun, and people were very smiling and laughing and came up to us, and we were handing out pamphlets and people learned more about us. We have somebody who actually came and stayed from that event. So please feel free to join us for either one or both the Little Five Points Halloween Parade, and you can imagine how much fun that's going to be. If you've ever been to a Little Five Points Halloween Parade. And then also the Pride Parade, and we will have a booth in the marketplace in the park for Pride. So please, it would be great for you to join with us. We're going to have a good time. And you know, us, we always have a good time. John F. Kennedy said, "Children are the living messages that we send to a time that we will never see." We set aside a special time in our service for a time of silence when you can sit quietly, pray, meditate, just go within, be with your brothers and sisters. There are candles on either side of the sanctuary. So we'll do this for about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll ring the chimes when it's time to bring us back into this space. I think it's time for another congregational song. Y'all sound so good. Let's do it again. How about this time that we do in your new songbook, which is alphabetical. So look under W for What a Wonderful World. you had to pay, well, you didn't have to. Originally, we asked you to make a donation when you made a dedication because we were paying for the books. Well, y'all, they're paid for now. So you can make a dedication. Just let me know. Now is a time for our service where we pass the collection plate. It's an opportunity for you to give back in whatever way that feels like the right way for you. And so we could have a couple of folks that would come forward to help us pass the plates, and during that time, Bill is going to play Christian music for us.
Brownie is for no words. So.
Thank you, Bill. Our speaker today is no stranger to our congregation. Brownie Hendricks has been around the congregation occupation for quite a few years. Brownie has had an interesting life, and I'm sure she will probably share, bits and pieces of that, with us today. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Brownie Hendricks to come forward.
Bless the beasts and the children, for in this world they have no voice, they have no choice. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children, give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe, keep them warm. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children. Give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe. Keep them warm. In preparing for today's talk, I had the wonderful opportunity to look back at my life and look at the lives of children that I've touched and that have touched me. I was touched by teaching school, by working with abused children, and by having a daughter. First of all, in teaching school, I learned that children are innocent and very fragile. I remember when I was first starting to teach, I had this little girl named Sarah who would not stay in her seat. She'd get up and wander around on all occasions, and sometimes wandered outside the classroom into other classrooms. One day I had just had it with Sarah, and we were going to the library. I said, "No, you're not going with us. You're going to practice staying in your seat." So we left. Well, immediately realized that I had made a mistake. A little mistake in judgment there. So I went down to the office and I got on the intercom and I said, "Sarah, are you still in your seat?" After a moment, she replied, "Yes, Jesus." Never been called Jesus before. I believe we're doing our children a real disservice today when we depend too much on standardized testing. Several years ago, it was determined that in order to go to the 4th grade, you had to pass the 3rd grade test. It lasted 6 hours. A teacher is with the students 180 days per year. Now compare the two, does it make sense? Do you think that that 6-hour exam should be the deciding factor in whether a child goes to another grade? Let teachers teach. Don't ban their books, don't burn their books. Let them have autonomy in the classroom. We'll be a lot better off. I worked on a case with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It involved 600 children who died and they were known to defects. Worked for this wonderful, wonderful reporter, Jane O. Hansen. And she and I looked at these 600 cases and tried to determine whether or not defects had any culpability in this. From these children, I learned that the cycle of abuse is rarely broken. Rarely do I meet an abused person that doesn't have some kind of abuse in their past. We determined that defects was culpable in some of these cases. And some decisions were made to change the way social work was handled, but they were short-lived. let's see, I think that social workers, of course, need to be paid more. I mean, we can say that about a lot of our service people. But I think also we need better training and preparation for them. Let me tell you my training that I had when I was investigating child abuse. My boss sent me out with the person that had the most experience in the field. She'd been there the longest, and I got in the car and I was really excited because I thought, well, you know, she's going to tell me some things that I really need to know. But what happened is she said, oh, you'll know what to do. Let's go have lunch. Our children deserve much more than that. The third experience I had with children was the greatest of all, and that was I got to be a parent. I got to have Jasmine. I never expected to be a parent. I mean, I was a 48-year-old lesbian. Go figure. I knew nothing about children. I didn't even know how to change a diaper. I remember the first time I gave Jasmine a bath, there sat this really nice, clean baby, and the room was an absolute wreck. I mean, I knew nothing about children. Jasmine was born in Augusta, Georgia, to a mother who was a prostitute and a felon. She was flown to Atlanta when she was like 24 hours old to have surgery, life-saving surgery. She wasn't supposed to live through the day, much less live a week, a month, or a year. On her last birthday, Jasmine turned 31 years old. Turned out to be this wonderful, wonderful, kind young lady. What took us through this experience was a lot of laughter. I remember Jasmine lost her first tooth, and we were explaining to her about the tooth fairy. And we said, your adult teeth will fall out and new teeth will take their place. She thought about that a minute and said, will my eyes fall out too? Jasmine had great courage. She taught me never to give up, and that has taken me through some really hard times in my life. Take some time now, if you will, to think about children in your life that have touched you and the lessons that you have learned from them. Take just a minute to do that. Take another minute to think about the future of children. Your future with children, children's rights, things that you might want to do in the future that you just haven't done yet. Many children have no voice. Many animals have no voice. In Congress especially, when it comes to children and animals' rights. And do you know why they have no voice? They have no vote. And sometimes votes are about all that they care about. In the past year, poverty has doubled for children in the United States. The main reason is because during COVID, they passed the Family Tax Act, which prevented them from overcharging families with children. That is no longer in effect. But luckily there are some voices out there for children and animals. Chris Smith and Earl Blumenauer set up a bipartisan act for animals. where the animals are no longer being able to be sold to dealers, which is good because they were taking lost pets and stealing them and passing them along, and that no longer can happen. They're trying to crack down in a lot of ways on these research labs. And there are many heroes. Many heroes. One of my heroes is Senator John Ossoff. Senator Ossoff discovered that a lot of foster children were living in hotels by themselves or other unacceptable places. He started an expose about this, which is still in progress. Watch the news and check out what he will say and what effect it might have on the foster care system. I like to thank people for the work that they do. And I called Senator Ossoff's office and thanked him for the wonderful work he was doing and asked him to keep up that work. You can do the same. Sometimes I get frustrated if I'm calling a senator or a representative to complain about what they're doing. Sometimes I feel like I'm not heard. But I do feel like people are open to that thank you and that it is important. Often I feel hopeless. I feel like my voice doesn't matter. I know children and animals need it. But sometimes, especially in today's society, I feel like it just doesn't count. And when I do, I think of two stories. The first one is the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect has come to stand for how we connect with each other. I connect with you, you connect with others, and you would be amazed how your influence can end up in the lives of many, many people. Andy Andrews has written a book about the butterfly effect. And he starts out the book like this. How significant is my life? Do I make a difference? When I move, when I act, when I do something, does the universe notice? Do I really matter? In 1963, Edward Lorenz presented a hypothesis to the New York Academy of Science. His theory, stated simply, was this: a butterfly could flap its wings and set molecules of air in motion, which would move other molecules of air, in turn moving more molecules of air, eventually capable of starting a hurricane on the other side of the planet. Lorenz and his ideas were literally laughed out of the conference. What he had proposed was ridiculous. It was preposterous, but it was fascinating. Therefore, because of the idea's charm and intrigue, the so-called butterfly effect became a staple of science fiction, remaining for decades a combination of myth and legend spread only by comic books and bad movies. Every single thing you do matters. You have been created as one of a kind. You have been created in order to make a difference. You have within you the power to change the world. I also think of the story of the starfish, which many of you have heard over the years. Two friends are walking along the beach when they see 1,000 starfish that have been washed up in a storm. One of the friends reaches down and starts picking up the starfish and throwing them back. The other friend says, "Why are you doing that? It doesn't matter." But the first friend kept on, reached down and grabbed a starfish and threw it back. The second friend said, "See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference." The friend said, "It did to that one." I would like to see us as a congregation include children again. I miss them. We used to have a lot of them. I think in our outreach, it would be pretty simple to just include children welcome. You know, whatever we're doing, whether we're at Counter Park Festival or putting up a notice at 7 on to children welcome. And then put how they can get childcare for their children. I miss them. I know we had Alice here. It's a wonderful 8-year-old a little while back. And I miss her. And I saw more smiles on those Sundays that she came than any Sundays I can remember. Let's join our voices together. Let's keep speaking up. Your voice, no matter how loud or how soft, is so very important. Bless the beast and the children, for in this world they have no voice, they have no choice. Bless the beast and the children, for the world can never be the world they see. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beast and the children. Give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe. Keep them warm. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beast and the children. Give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe. Keep them warm. Thank you.
Thank you, Brownie. That was the serious side of Brownie. There's another side of Brownie that later on we're going to have the opportunity to experience Brownie the comedian. We're have a community event here. Do we have a date?
December 2nd, 7 to 9 p.m. It's Saturday, December 2nd, a night of comedy and storytelling.
Right. So thank you for your words today, Brownie. Child psychologist and teacher Hendricks wrote, "Children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them makes an impression." He said, as a teacher, and I think this can be for every one of us, because we're all teachers. As a teacher, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. May we all be instruments of inspiration to children and to one another. So we are now going to have our closing song. That would be a song of peace, page number 77 in your pink book. I'd like to point out remind you that we are a fellowship. That means that we are the ones who make decisions about how this congregation is going to be, and we are the ones that do the work. Just as Bill comes and plays the piano, and Patton does our camera, we have a facilitator. We have those that come and open the building, putting the cushions in the chairs and fixing the coffee, things like that. And you're all welcome to participate in whatever way that you would like to participate. Feel free to let me or any of the board members know if you would like to do any of those tasks. But each one of you, at the end of the service, are free and welcome to pick up your cushion and take it to the back and put it in the tub, as well as your songbooks, if you would please. And that way it makes it easier for those that do the opening and the closing. So, Bill, page number 77, stand as you're willing and able, please. A song of peace.
I'd like to say this song was specifically requested for today by Brownie Hendricks. We all know the tune. I do anyway.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Thank you for coming today. I hope that you will join us next Sunday, October the 8th, when Dr. John Herman will talk about the existential thought of Martin Buber. So please have a wonderful week.